Season 1 of The Real Housewives of Orange County introduced viewers to a world of luxury, drama, and intense personalities. Among the 5 women was Kimberly Bryant, a housewife whose brief time on the show would leave fans with more questions than answers. Who was she, and why did she leave so abruptly? And more importantly, why did she disappear from the face of the earth since 2009? So, as you know, let's deep dive and thrive. In April 2005, the Bravo network announced that they would be ordering a series called Real Housewives, originally titled Behind the Gates. In this April 2005 press release, The Real Housewives is described as a wildly entertaining, larger-than-life look within one of the most affluent gated communities in America. All aspects of the richer-than-thou OC life that prevails among the families of the community will be exposed. We'll follow a mix of families and personalities with this extraordinary, picture-perfect contained set. A bevy of multi-million-dollar homes, private clubs, and VIP luxuries, from CEOs who makes millions and their wives and children who spend it. Our program will reflect the oversized California dream. Real Housewives of Orange County premiered on March 21st, 2006, and starred Kimberly Bryant, Joe De La Rosa, Vicki Gunvalson, Gina Keogh, and Lori Peterson, who was then Lori Waring at the time. The first season of Housewives was different from what we see today, where this is more documenting the everyday lives of these upper-class women and their family, while nowadays it's more about the drama in the women's lives and with each other. In this time, you could describe it as more as home movies, whereas now it's overproduced, scripted drama similar to something you would see in Beverly Hills 90210. Or something of that nature. Vicki Gunvalson ended up lasting the longest out of the 5 original women, spanning 13 seasons and having several guest appearances afterwards, truly being the OG of the OC. The other women stayed on for a couple seasons and then came for guest appearances here and there, except for Kimberly Bryant. Kimberly Bryant was a stay-at-home mom and former businesswoman. She was one of the original cast members of Real Housewives of Orange County. The show was in its infancy, and Kimberly's story revolved around her navigating parenting her young children, fitness, and being outspoken on plastic surgery, specifically with breast implants. Hence the tagline, 85% of the women around here have had breast implants. Yet, her life would soon take a drastic turn. Now, in this time, plastic surgery seemed to be something that was very wild in this time to be even discussed, even though so many people had it. So, Kimberly Bryant was kind of a pioneer in that in some regards, to speaking about that very openly. Her husband, Scott, was an executive with a Fortune 200 company, and she submitted to his demands pretty much. He even had influence over her getting breast implants. And Kimberly and Scott both agreed early on, when they had kids, that Kimberly would focus on their children, 13-year-old Bianca and 7-year-old Travis. She is a true housewife. Her household was a TV-free home, and her family only had organic food. Kimberly's entrance on the show was through her realtor, Gina Keogh, who was pretty much in the neighborhood. And in this season, they didn't live in all sorts of different areas of OC. They lived, all the women lived in Coto de Caza, so they were more so like neighbors. It was more so in the vein of who is in the neighborhood sort of thing. Kim was seen as energetic, relatable, and down to earth, giving the audience a glimpse of a life that wasn't defined by constant conflict or excess. You would see scenes of her buying a car with her husband and kids, or her daughter making prank phone calls at a hotel for her birthday, and then she has to clean it up as the adult figure. This was just her documenting everyday life in Coto de Caza, and in this time, all the women would film more so separately rather than together as dynamics and discussing the dynamics among each other and the women themselves. In this season, the women only had only a few gatherings ever of all of them together, but not many. Kimberly was the first center orange of the franchise, and truly the groundwork of what was to come from other franchises. Her impact, in my opinion, is that she moved the story along, similar to what Tamra Judge is, Lisa Vanderpump, Lisa Rinna, and many more iconic housewives. And she did this in the very first season of the very first Housewives franchise, except to a less pushy degree. It was more so organic. It was more so giving something to talk about on camera to spice it up a little. In the book, Not All Diamonds and Rosé by Dave Quinn, it was believed by producers that if Kimberly would have stayed, she would have been a messy housewife and truly groundbreaking reality television. She was kind of like a predecessor to Tamra Judge when you see her interactions with Joe Della Rosa, specifically with her moving the story along with her and Slade, giving her advice and stuff, and telling all the other women about what's going on with Joe and Slade. She was also casted because she was viewed as the housewife that they thought of in their mind, the picture perfect housewife in their mind, from the looks, to the house, to the husband, to the kids, the home, everything. Specifically, her interactions with Joe Della Rosa was what showed her as a seasoned housewife. When Kim first met Joe, it was truly one of the first times where we see two of the other housewives interact in the whole series and franchises. To me, it seemed very staged and set up, but the conversation was organic of them meeting each other and just getting to know each other just like anyone else you would get to know. Kimberly kind of mentors Joe on how to be a housewife, especially navigating her relationship with her pretty controlling boyfriend, Slade Smiley. And at the time, Slade was trying to make Joe a stay-at-home wife, even though she was 24 years old and still navigating her 20s herself. However, things take a turn when Kimberly begins to gossip about Joe and Slade to the other housewives. In the season finale, Joe feels awkward attending the final barbecue party and is surprised that the ladies know that Slade and Joe are already broken up. And it was because Kimberly brought it up to them. The ladies talk to Joe. Kim brings up couples therapy to Slade in the season finale. Joe and Slade both hope their relationship works out. Joe says Kim told her that Slade and Lori were secretly dating when she and Slade were working on getting back together. In the reunion, she revealed that. And it turns out Kimberly was lying because she's mad that they did not support her during a radio interview. And the two don't talk anymore. There was no clear resolve between the two or a scene where Joe and Kim interact after this. And we have no idea if Joe and Kim ever resolved with each other. There was a time in the season 4 finale where they were in the same setting, but there were no scenes together. So we may never know. However, according to Joe, she is fine with everyone, even Gretchen Rossi, who later became Slade's girlfriend. So I'm assuming the two are fine if they ran into each other, sort of thing. However, I do not know if they ever had any true closure, and it's unknown. But just when fans were starting to get to know Kimberly, something unexpected happened. Kimberly and her skin cancer. Throughout the first season, one of Kimberly's storylines was her worry about having melanoma. In 2006, she had a melanoma scare and because of that, she loves to live life to the fullest. Kim has been obsessed with fitness since her melanoma scare, so she encouraged her kids Bianca and Travis to live a healthy lifestyle, such as going to a hula dance class, tennis, golf, and all athletics in Coto de Caza. Kim sees her dermatologist every 8 weeks. She sometimes goes with her husband, and the doctors have noticed a mole through her biopsy, and it came back, and it was Kim's 5th one. Kim states that she's not afraid of dying, however, leaving her family behind. However, Kimberly eventually announced that she would be leaving the Real Housewives of Orange County after just 1 season. At first, her exit was attributed to her health, specifically her battle with skin cancer. Kim and her family decided to move somewhere with less sun in Chicago, Illinois, especially after her son Travis received a similar diagnosis due to the hereditary nature of melanoma. Kim feels guilty of uprooting her kids, so Kim, Lori, Vicky, and Gina have a goodbye drinks at the beginning of season 2, and Gina drops Kim off at the airport. The real reason why Kimberly Bryant left the show. In a revealing 2006 article from the Orange County Registry, it was reported that there was more to Kimberly's decision to leave the show than just health concerns. The article suggests that Kimberly's departure was not only tied with the battle of cancer, but also her growing discomfort with the show's increasingly sensationalized and manipulative nature. As the show evolved, so did the dynamics between the cast. What began as a documentary-style look at the lives of suburban women began to lean more heavily into drama, conflict, and sensationalism. And according to those close to Kimberly, she became disillusioned. Sources close to Kimberly suggested that she was deeply uncomfortable with the manipulation involved in producing a reality show. In fact, the pressure to manufacture conflict and maintain a certain image for the cameras reportedly made her rethink her place on the show itself. However, there is another article from the Orange County Registry where one of Kimberly's former friends reveals the reason why she left, and this is all alleged. So let's read it together. So this is on August 8th, 2006. Of all the neighborly folk on Real Housewives of Orange County, the last one I'd pegged to punch someone would have been Kimberly Bryant's husband. But the seemingly docile Scott Bryant could go to jail for allegedly slugging a one-time friend at a party in Coto, a female friend. Wonder why that wasn't mentioned by Bravo last week when it was announced Housewives has been picked up for a 2nd season. Could it be because Kimberly, by her D-cup implants and her infamous contention that 85% of the Coto women would have enlargement? Is this the one housewife who won't be back? After all, when you have the guy who could be the new bad boy of the series in your grasp, to get the viewership all worked up only to get signed, you didn't sign him to season 2, well, that's not the greatest PR move. Fortunately, in his last great PR move for the OC Sheriff Department, John Fleshman, last week caused to come into my possession some details of the case. The rest were filled in by an eyewitness and the alleged victim, Jana Keaton Chadwick, a 42-year-old fitness club manager. The Bryants may have already split for Chicago, which is reportedly the reason they left the show. I tried to find them leaving messages on their voicemail and with their realtor, but have heard nothing. Now, according to this victim, they were able to provide Scott's reasoning behind this alleged altercation, and Brian felt the need to defend himself because her and this fitness manager got into it. And she and Kimberly were friends before and asked whether she'd be interested in going on the show. And the fitness manager didn't want anything to do with it. And their friendship became sort of icy until June 10th, 2006. And earlier in this article, they wrote on summer concert series about golf and racket clubs in San Diego. And it would be usually with people of 40s and 50s wear shoes, and, you know, it would be these big parties in San Diego. And Jana, who is the fitness manager who had the altercation apparently and was a victim of this, went to a post-concert party at a friend's house, and Kimberly showed up uninvited, and the hostess felt like that put off the vibe because Kimberly walked in like she was a celebrity and took a position near the bar. And Kimberly was drinking cocktails but was not drunk, but she wasn't on her best behavior. Again, this would have made her a really messy housewife just reading this right now. And she insulted someone who is a friend of the host about her hair extensions. And she asked where she had done them and made this person feel so bad that she went home. And this fitness instructor, Kimberly, told people that the TV network attorneys are watching. She confronted Kimberly about her behavior. Kimberly ignored her, and this person poured a cup of Red Bull on the back of Kimberly's head, which that is an altercation in itself. Kimberly did nothing and continued to ignore this person, and there were no repercussions. And then apparently her husband found out about it, and things got really bad from there on out, and that's where the article ends. So that is an alleged theory. They didn't say like how Scott had the altercation necessarily. All we know just based off that article is that someone poured a cup of Red Bull on the back of Kimberly's head, and it seems like Scott defended his wife, but it ended in an altercation where he could get in trouble too. So, interesting article. So, and at this point of the article, Real Housewives of Orange County was announced to be renewed for a second season just this week. Another reason why she left possibly was because of the backlash she received after the first few episodes that aired in March 2006. This article from the LA Times from April 3rd, 2006 talks about criticism about the show and states from Kimberly Bryant, one of the featured housewives who has been seen working out while explaining that 85% of her female neighbors have had breast implants like hers, said one time friends have dropped her. On Friday, one of her daughter's classmates brought in a handmade poster that read, "I hate the Real Housewives of Orange County," for an assignment. Even one of the teachers at the Secretarian's private school had taken Brian's 13-year-old aside to ask if she was ashamed to have her mom on the show, Bryant said. Bryant said she too has been surprised by the intensity of the criticism. Her philosophy of being Generous to those who judge you has been tested more than ever before, she said. She said she understands that the series shows only one of her many sides. The show is a kick in the pants. It's fun and frivolous and keeps your mind off your real problems, she said. Some scenes follow Bryant as she undergoes a biopsy for her recurrent skin cancer. Honestly, I think there are a lot of people who, even though they appear to be successful on the outside, can't laugh at themselves. They're afraid of television, says something about them or doesn't, and wish it did, Bryant said. And in 2023, on Two Teas in a Pod, Tamra and Teddy Mellencamp's podcast, Tamra Judge said that she thinks Kimberly disappeared and left the show because it was because of the backlash was either too much, which was implied by the article above, which could be true, or she was fired and it was a messy exit with the producers and everything. Now, why did Kimberly truly disappear? Now, on one hand, it could be allegedly from that incident. Ultimately, Kimberly's desire for privacy and her devotion to her family led her to walk away from the limelight. She felt that the Real Housewives wasn't the right fit for her values or her lifestyle she wanted to like, especially after her skin cancer diagnosis. After the show, Kimberly Bryant stepped out of the public eye, focusing on her family and her health. In interviews later on, she shared that she had no regrets about her decision and that stepping away from the drama of reality television allowed her to find peace and balance in her personal life. However, Kimberly appeared on the show a couple more times after she left in 2006. She appeared in one episode in season 3 where she appeared at Lori Peterson's gathering for her wedding. In season 4, Vicki Gunvalson and Gina Keel visited Kimberly in Chicago while Vicki was visiting an old friend. At the same time, which on this trip, Vicki and Gina get into conflict, especially with the way Gina's son talks to her, and Vicki finds it distasteful. Kimberly's final appearance on the show was on February 17, 2009, where she appeared at the season 4 final party. Since then, Kimberly was no longer appearing on the show and has been the longest absent out of any housewife out of any franchise to date. Since her time on the show, she has been doing charity work with St. Jude's Hospital for Cancer in Chicago, and there have been some recent pictures over the years of her and her family. Her and Scott are still together to this day. However, there was an article recently in 2023 that surfaced from the UF Sun about Kimberly and Scott allegedly foreclosing on a $1.3 million Chicago home after suffering 100% loss of income. According to Kimberly herself, what she told the court is that my spouse and I were served notice on October 13, 2013 to file a response to the summons regarding a foreclosure action at our property. Due to the lack of employment opportunities in Illinois, resulting in 100% loss of income, we are actively attempting to sell the home through a short sale. They sold and vacated the home in December 2014, and apparently they both moved to Texas. Now, with all this rumors and speculation, I personally enjoyed Kimberly's time on the show. I thought she was just organic, but also she moved the story along, and she just had such an interesting, vibrant look to her that was very distinct, that you just got like, that's a housewife vibes. I hope one day that Kimberly tells her story of why she truly disappeared from this universe and clear up what may be true, what may be fact or fiction that has been written about her over the years, so we could clear a lot of these things up. It's very similar to the story of Danny Lightfoot, Joe Torres, which recently has been resolved, which we'll be doing a deep dive on that. Kimberly Bryant's story serves as a reminder that sometimes the real reasons behind a decision are far more personal and complex than what we see on our screen. While fans may never know the full extent of what happened behind the scenes, one thing is clear: Kimberly chose her health and family over chaos of reality television, a decision that ultimately brought her peace. Kimberly Bryant may have left the Real Housewives of Orange County after just one season, but her story remains an important part of the show's early history, a reminder that reality TV exits is as scripted as it seems. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys would like more deep dives on One Season Wonder Housewives or any type of topic in general, leave a comment below. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and feel free to join the Patreon for bonus content.